When you come to Kvarner, treat yourself to an experience you will remember. Enjoy the luxurious ambience. Experience superior service. Indulge in endless pleasures. The pearl of the tourism offer in the pearl of the Adriatic. Liburnia, Hotels and Villas.
Welcome to the Autodromo di Vallelunga as we get ready for the first race of the American Festival of Rome for the American Speed Fest, or for the American Festival of Rome. I almost went back to June there. The American Festival of Rome at the Autodromo Vallelunga. We have had a spectacular weekend already here. We went to the wonderful town just south of the Vallelunga circuit a couple of, or should say yesterday, and really got up close and personal with the EuroNASCAR fans who are now here in their droves for the EuroNASCAR Pro race, which is about to get started. It will be our EuroNASCAR Pro machines for their 5th round of the season, and I think a lot of local interest, particularly because of our championship leader, Gianmarco Ercoli. Gianmarco Ercoli, your current points leader on 137 over Lucas Lasser and Anthony Kumpen. Mark Goossens is 4th in the standings ahead of Martin Dubek and Vittorio Garelli. Giorgio Maggi, your junior trophy points leader, and Fabrizio Armetta, another Italian, is the current Challenger trophy points leader. But for Gianmarco Ercoli, this is very much a home facility. He is from Rome. He is from this area of Italy. And Gianmarco will be looking to try and take a win here. He's already had 2 wins this season, both of which came at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit last month. He was declared king of Brands Hatch after taking those 2 victories. And look at that, it's Captain America on screen, Gianluca. I don't think he knew he was on, but hi, Gianluca. We like the hat. And hello, Andre, as well. Your hat is also nice, but slightly smaller. Bless him, Gianluca's almost 6 feet tall in that. Excellent. The atmosphere here at the American Festival of Rome is always exciting. Of course, Alberto Nasca is a big draw as well for the Italian fans. He won't be racing in EuroNASCAR Pro, of course. He was just running in the Euro Legend Cup race that just finished, and Nasca taking a top 6 finish in that one. He'll be back out later on in EuroNASCAR 2. But Gianmarco Ercoli is certainly going to be the home favourite around this circuit, which is just under 4.1 kilometres in length. It's 14 corners as well. Quite the challenging facility for our drivers. Anthony Kumpen, someone who's well aware of the challenges of this circuit. We just saw him exiting the pit lane. The cars are currently going towards the grid now. Here's an over-the-head look then at the circuit. As I mentioned, 4.1 kilometres, 4.085 kilometres, just under 2.6 miles. As you can see, it's a study in contrast. The first sector, fast and flowing. But then as you get from towards turn 10, the final sector of the lap is quite the change. It's almost like an infield section at a short oval, turns 10 through 14. You see there Liam Hasemans heading out onto the circuit. This is going to be a race that Hasemans is going to want to succeed in if he possibly can. Liam Hasemans only 11th in the standings in spite of a race win. And that is in part because of issues at Brands, also issues at the Valencia circuit as well. He's had a win, he's had the pace, but the luck and fortune has not fallen in favour of the number 50 just yet. So it will be Gianmarco Ercoli who will start this race from pole position. Vittorio Garelli in the 72 car, he is due to line up alongside him on the front row. Garelli, I'm sure, is going to have an eye on all of the gauges on his Team Blake Molan 72 when this race gets underway, because unfortunately in the EuroNASCAR 2 session, the car had a problem in the hands of Mikael Bleekemolen. And obviously, while that didn't necessarily affect Garelli directly, what that does do is it does just put into mind for Vittorio Garelli that, well, there has been a problem already today. And Garelli has often had poor fortune where his pace has been stellar. So he's going to be hoping to get to the checkered flag without any issues in this race. The number 72 Chevrolet Camaro will be on the front row alongside the Cal Racing 54 of Gianmarco Ercoli, another of the Chevrolet bodied cars. You have representation. Oh, the number 65 has come to a halt. Riccardo Romagnoli has come to a halt out there on circuit. Hopefully that's not a sign of a larger issue. Hopefully it's just a reboot, control, or delete for Riccardo Romagnoli. But to continue with my previous point, the bodies on these cars, you've got Chevrolets, Fords, Toyotas, and the EuroNASCAR FJ chassis, or rather bodywork, but all of the cars are identical in all manners except for the bodywork. The engines are all of identical lineage. The actual chassis, tube frame, all identical, but a big difference is made by the team in how they set up the car, and an even bigger difference is made by the driver in how they pedal this car. And it's not just in terms of driving well, it's also driving sensibly. You can drive these cars as if you're in a chase scene in Smokey and the Bandit, you know, sliding corner to corner. However, these Hoosier tyres have to last the entire qualifying session, the entire race on Saturday, and the entire race on Sunday. So if you ruin your rear tyres in race 1, good luck come race 2. And that is something that the drivers that lead this championship, the drivers that are consistently at the front, have down to an art. They know how to get pace out of the car with smoothness and without putting too much load through the tyres consistently. The Hoosier rubber is very durable, of course. The only slight hiccup, though, is the fact that they have to last quite so long, and they also, of course, have to go through various heat cycles as well. It's not easy to do a qualifying session on a tyre, park it for a few hours, go back out there, park it for a day, and then go and race it again. So the compound goes through a lot over the course of these EuroNASCAR weekends, for sure. Gianmarco Ercoli just heading up to his pole position as the grid starts to flood, not just with cars, but also with competitors. And as we can see, the Cal Racing crew greet Gianmarco. There was a lot of jubilance in the air at Cal Racing after Brands Hatch. And we'll see how that translates into Vallelunga. Vladimiros Siortsis, who starts off the front row for the first time in EuroNASCAR 2 later on. So he's having to work hard in EuroNASCAR 2 this weekend. He's also going to have a little bit of a job to do in EuroNASCAR Pro as well. He's starting a little bit further back than some expected. He made it into the top 10 shootout, of course, because he is still a masterful qualifier, but he is starting way back down the grid. He is starting in 6th position on the 3rd row of the grid. So then we look forward to seeing what he can do in just a few moments' time. Of course, as we continue the countdown to command, we will also catch some impressions from the pit lane as well, or from the grid as well, I should say. And I'm sure we'll have Andre down there soon with some interviews. You see there Liam Hazemans getting himself ready, gets himself out of the race suit. In this heat, you can't blame him. fifth position. He will start alongside Vladimir Osiotsis. Those two have battled long and hard numerous times, of course, over the years, or over last year in EuroNASCAR 2. Both of them in EuroNASCAR Pro this season. Two of the fastest drivers in the EuroNASCAR paddock overall last year, and particularly Siortsis, who was always setting times equivalent to EuroNASCAR Pro pole in EuroNASCAR 2. So both of them will be forces to be reckoned with in this race from the third row of the grid. Of course, a word as well to Paul Giffreau, because Paul Giffreau is starting from fourth on this grid in the number 3 car. He's taken over the EuroNASCAR Pro number 3 seat from Frédéric Gabillon. Gabillon is going to be watching from the sidelines and coaching Paul Giffreau for the remainder of this season. So keep an eye on the number 3 car. Also keep an eye on Tobias Downhauer in third. But for now, we go down to Andre with Vladimir Osiotsis.
Thank you so much, Adam. And I'm here now with Vladimir Osiotsis, third row on the grid. I think it's a decent starting position for you after the troubles you had in EuroNASCAR Pro, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure, we have some issues in the final sector with the oversteer. It's visible. It was visible until the qualifying, but anyway, the team worked very hard. I think they did a good change on the setup. I hope it will work now. So because in all the sectors we are fast, we are losing all the time at the last 2 corners. I mean, by driving style, it's impossible because I know myself. So.
What about pulling double duties in both championships, the physical part of this EuroNASCAR racing under 38 degrees here today?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I prefer the heat than the rain. But yes, it's very warm. I mean, also the humidity, it will be difficult for every driver, also for me coming from an island. But I am used to it. I will try, I will give my best. Consistency is the key. Qualifying is another story, the race is another story. Bye.
Thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you, Adam.
There you go. So interesting to see how the drivers that are doubling up manage across the race day. In the case of NASCAR and Capelli, they're splitting themselves across EuroNASCAR and Euro Legend. Numerous drivers splitting themselves across EuroNASCAR 2 and EuroNASCAR Pro. Siortsis, of course, being one of them. Giffreau, for the first time, is doing that this weekend as well. Also the likes of Riccardo Romagnoli and Martin Dubek also doubling up. And it will be interesting to see how they endure the heat in these cars. The temperatures expected to exceed 60 degrees Celsius potentially in the Lazio heat here in Vallelunga. As you can see there, Anthony Kumpen's 24 car with the prominent Belgian lineage of the team on full display. The PK Car Sport 24 Chevy, not just in the number, but you saw there the Racing for Zolder markings on the car as well. Of course, Zolder, a key part of the EuroNASCAR calendar, particularly in this 2023 season, where it will wrap up an exciting year of EuroNASCAR action on the 14th and 15th of October. That's still a long way away, though. Just over 38 minutes until we get the command to start engines. And let's go down to Andre once more.
We used to have you on the front in EuroNASCAR Pro, but with a new team, second appearance in EuroNASCAR Pro Motion, it's fantastic to be so far at the front, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The team did an amazing job. We are a very small team here, completely new for everyone, for team members, and they did a great job. We had a good qualifying this morning, P3 in the race now, and yeah, looking forward. I think it will be a tough and hot race, but yeah, like I said, looking forward, and hopefully we can show a good pace and a good show for all these fans here.
I'm not joking right now. I'm standing here and the asphalt is burning under my feet. Really, it's getting really hot now with the normal shoes on. How is it for you to cope with these track conditions? Not in the car for yourself, but how about the setup work and the balance in the car when the asphalt is so hard?
Yeah, you have to look after your tires. It's getting everything really, really hot, and yeah, you have to keep cool. Don't overpace the whole race, and try to keep cool the whole race on. And yeah, will be very hot, but it's for everyone the same. So yeah, looking forward.
Okay, vielen Dank and good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you, Adam.
There you go. That was Tobias Downhauer for the promotion at 99 crew. That car only appearing in EuroNASCAR Pro this weekend. Of course, we had Gordon Barnes driving it at Brands Hatch. Barnes winning in Club Challenge here at Vallelunga yesterday. The two-time champion Club Challenge making his racing debut. Club Challenge is a regularity format of competition run by EuroNASCAR on the Fridays. But good to see Tobias Downhauer in good spirits, and we expect him to be a favourite. I think Tobias, more than anything, is hungry. He wanted to race a full campaign in 2022. The budget wasn't there. And in 2023, Tobias Downhauer is charging on into what has been a very competitive campaign so far. Only started in Brands, missed Valencia, but we can expect him to be a favourite for a long time to come, I think, as long as everything stays underneath him. Certainly from third on the grid, he could be a contender in today's race. Mark Goossens, the 56 car, we're looking at his crew at the moment. This is the Pop Art liveried car. And Goossens all the way up in fourth place in the standings at the moment. Just really courtesy of consistency. Vittorio Gorelli has struggled a little bit more, but he's got a very quick car underneath him. Let's go down to Andre. I think we didn't have the sound there with Andre, but hopefully we can go back down to Vittorio Gorelli in just a few moments. As soon as I see him on screen with Andre again, we'll throw back down, but I think there was some audio issues at play there. Gorelli, though, in the 72, will be looking to take advantage, of course, around the outside at Curva Grande on the first lap. Curva Grande, the second corner of the lap, the first right-hander. It's really the first proper turn, given that turn one is a flat-out left kink at best. But Vittorio Gorelli in the 72 car, always exciting to watch, as we see there the NASCAR race car markings on that machine, the number 40 of Neo Lambert. And hopefully we can rejoin an interview shortly. It sounded like Andre was still talking to Vittorio, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like we had the audio on feed. But now I think we're going to try it again. Back down to Andre.
Thank you so much. We try again, Vittorio. The question I asked you was, what is missing to grab this first win of the season in 2023 with Team Blake & Molen?
We're very close. We're doing a very good job in the first few races. This is my home track. We have the good pace in the practice sessions, so I'm looking forward to it. I think we have good chances to win. It'll be hard. It's very tight with the 54. We are battling out every race for the pole position, but yeah, let's see who comes out first this time. I will give it my all as always, and hope to give a good show for the fans, and big thanks to the team and my sponsors for the sport, you know.
You said it, the fans. There's a grandstand packed, there's a big gridwalk right now. As a driver, how does it feel to race in front of so many people, so many passionate NASCAR fans here in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, it's emotional. It's very nice always, and also you feel the support of home, you know. I have a lot of friends who turned up today to support me, so I want to give them, a good proof that they come here for some reason. So I want to give them the win, and let's do it and let's go for it, and we see what comes out.
Okay, grazie mille, good luck and have fun.
Have fun, guy.
Back to you, Adam, and I hope we heard something.
Yeah, we got you that time, Andre. Not sure what happened first time around, but good to hear from Vittorio Gorelli there. He will be another one that the home fans will be watching. They will have cheered him on in years gone by to Auto GP championships, to EuroNASCAR 2 championships. And we'll see if he can put himself in position as a title contender this season with a good performance this weekend. Jack Davidson signing autographs there on the hood of the 48 car. He is one of the EuroNASCAR 2 drivers. Of course, the EuroNASCAR 2 drivers join the EuroNASCAR Pro competitors on the grid by and large to interact with the fans. The fans very much at the forefront of EuroNASCAR, as you can see. And a change of hats as Andre speaks to Paul Giffreau.
Yes, I upgraded my hat right now. I'm here with Paul Giffreau, pulling double duties, and it's your first EuroNASCAR Pro race coming up. How do you feel?
Great. This is a good position to start a race. We are not in front, but next to the front. This will be a tough race. There is a lot of drivers that are really good, as I told you yesterday. And yeah, I just want to take experience. I don't want to crash the car and just keep the car to my EuroNASCAR 2 races. And this is my first objective.
What about you and the fans here in Italy? Do they carry you? Do you see in the car, or do you feel in the car the energy here of the American Festival of Rome?
Yeah, there is so much more spectators than last year. Of course, there is a lot of our Italian drivers, of course, but yeah, they're all really kind with me. They're asking autograph, photos, but they're all really kind, and yeah, it's really, it boosts confidence for a driver.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
You know what, that hat, Andre, it's one of the best things I've ever seen on a motorsport grid. Yourself and Gianluca are rocking those. Paul Giffreau representing the red, white and blue, but not the red, white and blue of the US, the red, white and blue of France, of course. And really good to see him up in EuroNASCAR Pro and thriving as well. He showed flashes of his potential in EuroNASCAR 2 last year, but really unlocked something with the move over to the RDV competition team and the number 3 car. And that has extended not just to EuroNASCAR 2, but now also EuroNASCAR Pro, a second row start for him. Very exciting and could be a forebearer of things to come for the young Frenchman in the number 3. We'll see how he performs later on then. He'll be on the second row on the outside in 4th place. I'm interested to see how everyone handles being on the outside line, of course, with Curva Grande. The exit of Curva Grande is a big pinch point. Of course, we saw in qualifying, it's almost the standard to run right to the edge of the curb, if not onto the grass on the exit of Curva Grande. And you can't do that if you're on the inside of the row with a car alongside you on the outside. So that could be a drama later on. We see Sebastian Bleekemolen on screen. He's starting all the way down in 16th place. The number 69 car, which we've seen in the top 5 a couple of times already this year. Bleekemolen just didn't find the speed in qualifying. And that is not a particularly good sign for him. Let's see if he can work his way through the order. We go down to Andre once again.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Tomasz Dąbrowski, who's not racing in EuroNASCAR Pro, but you're the leader in the Rookie Trophy in EuroNASCAR 2. When you watch the race now, do you look what's going to happen, what you can do to figure out the perfect line?
Yes, I always learn from other drivers because every track is new for me in the EuroNASCAR season, so I'm learning from everything.
What about being a rookie, wrestling one of those cars in the heat of Italy around that track? How does it feel?
This track?
Yes.
Yes, it feels quite good because you have a very technical part and you have a very fast one, so a lot of sensation and a lot of techniques.
Do you have a smile under the helmet when you race those cars?
Yes, I'm focused and I'm sweating a lot, but I have a little smile.
All right, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Good luck later.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, then, that was Dombrowski in the 66 car, of course. He's another driver in the Blake and Molan stable, albeit his isn't in the signature blue, white, and yellow. His car is dark blue and light blue. So a rather standout car on the grid. And Dombrowski has made good progress, particularly in EuroNASCAR 2, in what is his first season. We look forward to seeing how he performs today as well. Liam Hazemans from 5th on the grid later on. Let's go down to him with Andre.
Thank you so much, Adam. Liam Hazemans, the reigning EuroNASCAR 2 champion. You said to me, crazy, just crazy. Tell me, what are you feeling at the moment?
No, bro, I'm almost melting down here on the asphalt. It's crazy how hot it is. I mean, it's 36 degrees outside. I think in the car it's like 54, maybe 55 degrees, even maybe more. But no, I have to say the atmosphere is just crazy, like so many people. I think it's much more even than last year, I'm quite sure. But yeah, as usual, here in Italy, the atmosphere is always crazy. Just the weather is not playing in our favor because it's crazy hot and we have 18 laps to go. So yeah, that's the most difficult part.
Besides staying hydrated, what is your tactic to keep a little bit cool?
Yeah, well, it depends. I see like a lot of people, they have this cooling vest that they bought here at the shop. But yeah, it depends. Like for me, it doesn't help because it's good like before getting in the car because it's cold. But when you put like the suit and everything on, the water inside gets super warm. So it's good for, let's say, the 10 first minutes and then it's horrible. But no, yeah, I just hope it's a race that we can keep on going with as less as safety car possible, and then yeah, it should be fine. It's the same for everybody, so yeah, we just have to keep up with it.
Okay, merci beaucoup, dankjewel, and good luck.
Merci beaucoup, thanks.
Great to see Liam Hazemans there chatting away to Andre, and as Liam said, it's really difficult to gauge what to do to manage the heat, really. He made the point there about the cool vests and how they can sometimes prove to be a hindrance as the race goes on. You know, realistically, I think often all you can do in a car like this that is so manual, so old school as a classic stock car, you kind of just have to prepare ahead of time. You have to make sure your conditioning is as good as it's going to get, and you just kind of have to go for it. These aren't easy cars to prepare for, certainly. They are quite user-friendly cars, but when the heat gets intense, the V8 really does turn the cockpit into a bit of an oven. It's a physical challenge for these drivers. A fan there getting a photo with Vittorio Gorelli, and always great to see the literal thousands herd their way onto the grid for a chance to meet their heroes. And the drivers here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, always very amenable, always keen to interact. And of course, with the parade down into town over the course of the weekend on Friday as well, we got a really exciting moment that I'm sure a lot of fans will cherish for a long time to come, seeing the cars in the piazza just outside of the Vallelunga circuit. There is the safety car for this weekend. I do love the rotating American sports cars that we have in the safety car role. Of course, at Brands Hatch in the American Speed Fest, we had the Crown Victoria police car escorting people to victory lane. This weekend, we've got a Chevy Corvette. I thought it said it was a Z06, but a lot of the bodywork suggests ZR1. Whatever it is, it's a very beautiful example of the Chevrolet Corvette C7. I think it's Z06 with some extra bodywork on it, effectively, this car. But a beautiful Corvette C7 leading the grid. We've had Indy 500 replica safety cars and all sorts of stuff over the years, leading the field in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. A big component of a EuroNASCAR weekend is celebrating American automotive culture. And in the case of Andre Viegold and his hat, he's celebrating General Americana, isn't he? That is a mighty outfit that he is wearing this day, and I can't imagine that it's ideally suited for this heat either. I think Andre is going to have a bit of a sweaty scalp by the end of this pre-grid, but great stuff nonetheless. The fans still flocking, and Andre has extracted a driver, freed him from the thousands of people. Let's go down to Andre.
Thank you so much, Adam. If the drivers are melting in the car, I can melt under the set and on the asphalt, so it's no problem. They do much more work than we do in the car. How do you cope with the heat in the car, Ulysse Lesson?
First time I make my first super pole in this year, and for me it's a good result for me and for the team. And Luca Lasser, it's just behind me in my left, and I hope to have a good fun with him and for the race.
So what about the heat and the physicality of the race? How do you have something to cool you down?
First, I'm training before the race, and I make warning, and with my physical, my coach, I make I do the sport 2 and 3 weeks.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Good luck later.
Thank you very much.
Back to Adam.
Certainly fitness coaches will be earning their money preparing drivers for this weekend. Ulysse Lesson, as he said, first time he's been in Superpole here in the EuroNASCAR Pro this season, and 14 car well up there, which must be exciting for the young Frenchman in that number 14. As he said, Speedhouse car, and as he mentioned, his teammate Lucas Lasser, not just teammate but team boss Lucas Lasser, who is actually starting on the 4th row alongside Ulysse Lesson. So it's an all Speedhouse 4th row of the grid between the 14 and the 64 car that we'll see later on. Lasser, of course, still in the runner-ups point, or in the runner-up position in the championship points at the moment, just 4 points back from Gianmarco Ercoli. That could be a compelling place for him to start there in 8th position. Can he make up some places? I think this is the kind of circuit where action is always ongoing. There are so many deep braking zones, so many high-speed corners. I think it's a track where we'll see a lot happen. And Lucas Lasser, as one of the most experienced drivers on the grid, is probably one of the best equipped to navigate any dramas that come from all the action. Paul Giffreau we saw there, signing autographs and chatting some of the fans. We now go back down to Andre.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Francesco Cassioli, responsible for the Autodromo di Vallelunga. Full grandstands, full grid walk. You must be happy with the event, right?
Really happy. Welcome back in Vallelunga. Tomorrow we will have much more people than today. Enjoy your weekend, sunny weekend, hot weekend, also for this wonderful show. Thanks a lot.
Grazie mille. Thank you so much for putting it up.
Thank you. See you.
Back to you.
We have to love the Autodromo di Vallelunga. I was just alluding to the fact that the circuit provides so much action and excitement, and that goes beyond the circuit as well. It goes beyond the festivities around the American Festival of Rome here in EuroNASCAR. It's very exciting to see that so many people attend year on year. The numbers seem to keep going up for all of our events in mainland Europe. Of course, the American Speedfest at Brands Hatch is one of the most successful and best attended events all year at Brands, potentially in the UK as well. And we are developing an audience everywhere we go with the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and some of the superstar drivers we have, the likes of Mark Goossens and Anthony Kumpen, certainly helping that people recognize them from years gone by. And then you've got the excitement of the youngsters like Paul Giffreau, like Liam Hazemans, like Vladimiros Tsiotsis, Tobias Downhauer, all of these future stars that are only growing and ascending up the order Then, of course, you've got the hometown hero, Gianmarco Ercole, who not only leads the championship, but will lead this race from pole position. And he is the most popular selfie in town by the looks of it, as the fans congregate around him and the number 54 Cal Racing car. Of course, not just Gianmarco Ercole in that car, but the YouTube sensation, Alberto Nasca, as well. Looks like Andre is making his way down as well. And some young fans getting a photo with the car, with Gianmarco Ercole and also with Andre, who was down there on the scene. I think we'll be hearing from Andre in a few moments' time once we go down there. You see the cheerleaders at the front of the pack with the pom-poms. Maybe that would be a nice addition to the ensemble that Andre seems to be wearing today. Some pom-poms to go with the American hat. Let's go down to Gianmarco Ercole. He's with Andre now.
Just a quick word, so we have the fans back for you. How do you feel?
Yeah, the feel is good. I show my feeling in qualifying. Good time, good pole position, and I studied the strategy for the race. And I think it's a good day for have a good result today.
All right, thank you so much. We let you know alone with your fans again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Back to you, Adam.
That was certainly a rushed man, Gianmarco Ercole, because he has a lot of fans who want his signature. And I'm sure that will continue after the race as well, win, lose or draw. There is Vittorio Gorelli's 72 car. Gorelli, of course, also an Italian driver. But I think Gianmarco Ercole, not just the pole sitter, but the most local driver of anyone on the grid. He is really a step above everyone in popularity this weekend. The hottest signature in the Vallelunga area this weekend for sure. There is Ciotz's car, the number 5, the Academy Motorsport team. Of course, Alex Caffey, who runs that team. We heard from him at Brands Hatch last month in the broadcast. I'm sure he's here and cheering on Vladimiros Ciotzis, as well as the other drivers for Academy Motorsport, including Advait Diodar, who starts from 20th in this race. And there we see the Speedhouse cars on row 4 of the grid. So a few surprise packages in terms of qualifying. Mark Goossen's only starting 11th. I would certainly classify that as a surprise. Sebastian Blakemolen only starting 16th. That's a surprise too. Now let's go down to Andre. Not a surprise that he's getting lots of interviews down on the grid.
I'm here now with Alina Leubnegger's sister, Melinda Leubnegger, and you have a very interesting role today. You will singing the US national anthem and then rush upstairs to be her spotter, right?
Yeah, that's correct. After singing, I'll just rush up there and do my best I can for Alina.
What information do you share with her when you're a spotter?
Yeah, it's a lot of information. It's safety information, it's track information, it's timing information. All she needs to be supported in the best way.
All right, thank you so much and have fun.
Thank you. Have fun too. Have a good race.
Back to you, Adam.
We like a multitasker in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, so spotter comes singer then. That's interesting. That the Leubnegger sisters are a talented group, that much is for certain. And we look forward to that rendition of the anthem later on. Anthony Kumpen's car, you see there, they're using the umbrella as a parasol there to try and get some of the heat away from Anthony, away from the cockpit in general. In fact, Anthony might not even be in the car, but they're just trying to shield the cockpit from the heat, which is probably a good decision because, of course, these cars have been parked now for a good 20 minutes or so, and there'll be another 13 minutes before the command is given and the cars move away. So all the time, the heat is beating down on the panels of the car, on the windscreen as well, and the temperatures are only increasing in the cockpit. So probably a wise call from the teams that have got the umbrellas in place. As I said, 13 minutes until the command is given. Once the command is given, very quickly we go into the race. The warm-up lap will begin just seconds after the engines are fired, and we will go racing for 18 laps around this 4.1 kilometer 14 turn configuration here at the Autodromo di Vallelunga. And As I've said, I'm particularly interested to see what happens on the first lap as they go 2 by 2 through Curva Grande down towards turns 4 and 5, the first proper braking zone on the lap. There's a lot of runoff area to use around turn 4 and 5, and I suspect we are going to have to use some of that to make sure everybody has position, everyone has track space later on. That will be particularly compelling to see, and the circuit in general well suited to EuroNASCAR competition. We had some great battles last year here between Gianmarco Ercoli and Alan Day. Of course, Alan Day not in the 24 car this year. He's not defending his EuroNASCAR title, but he is, I'm sure, watching on, and I think there was a healthy respect between Ercoli and Day. He'll be interested to see if Ercoli can finally clinch that title this season. Of course, Loris Hazeman's a former EuroNASCAR champion. He has been coaching brother Liam through this EuroNASCAR season and the one before it, while Loris spent last year doing select races in the NASCAR Cup Series. And Liam still very much with that expert coaching of his championship-winning brother. And also his father, Twan Hazemans, who is very much a proactive part of the team that runs that number 50, the Hendricks Motorsport crew. Good news here that Riccardo Romagnoli's 65 car has arrived on the grid. You may recall that car had an issue heading to the grid earlier on. We saw it stopped coming out of turn 8 earlier. And now the car has arrived on the grid, which is a huge relief, I'm sure, for the team, for the driver, and anyone supporting him. So Mark Goossens will be lining up just ahead of Romagnoli. Romagnoli will start from 13th on the inside of row number 7. Romagnoli, who is doubling up in EuroNASCAR 2 and EuroNASCAR Pro this weekend. And currently sits in a fairly comfortable position in the EuroNASCAR 2 championship, but in EuroNASCAR Pro it really hasn't been optimal for Romagnoli. He sits 17th and 3rd in Challenger, and I think the pace has been there for Romagnoli to do better, but hasn't quite had the luck of or the run of fortune in his favour so far this season, and that issue on the way to the grid probably not particularly optimism inspiring either, but 17th in the championship for now and 3rd among the challengers, just behind Advait Dioda, whereas he is 7th and leading Legend Trophy in EuroNASCAR 2. So as we've heard, we are going to get a live rendition of the US national anthem and possibly the Italian as well in a few minutes from the sister of Alina Leubneger. Alina starting towards the tail end of the field in this race. Great to see Alina up in EuroNASCAR Pro this year. She'll be looking to make up a few positions as the race wears on. Here is the anthem.
All the ramparts will
as we can see, the grid has cleared significantly. The fans are making their way back towards the grandstands and their chosen viewing areas now, because we are just a few minutes away from going racing here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. For the first time this weekend, it will be the EuroNASCAR Pro category on display. And it will be Gianmarco Ercoli who leads from pole position. He is going to have a lot of people cheering him in this race. Vittorio Garelli, though, will be looking for a win on home soil himself. The Italian drivers really dominating the front row of the grid. It's an all-Italian first row. We'll have to see what Ercoli can do. You see there the banners made in support of Ercoli. The support around the circuit is evident for the Cal Racing's 54 crew. Not just Gianmarco Ercoli, of course, but also Alberto Nasca. That car, a home favourite of all home favourites this weekend. The drivers are getting belted up, and we are just moments away from going racing. Ercoli inserts himself into the cockpit of the 54 car. I'm excited to see what this circuit delivers in terms of racing. Those here at the American Festival of Rome and those tuned into the Euro Legend race earlier on will already know that we've already had exciting racing from the support categories this weekend. And EuroNASCAR always delivers action around this facility. Countdown to the command is almost at its end. 3 minutes and 20 seconds until we start to, or until the command is given. And what a great performance we had from Melinda Leubniger, the sister of Alina, singing the US national anthem earlier on. 2 minutes and 50 seconds left until that command. I do love that Corvette, that Z06 with some of the ZR1 bodywork that's leading the cars around. Fabulous machinery. It's going to be 28 V8s that fire up when the command is given. 27 EuroNASCARs and 1 safety car. You can hear the local announcer, the Italian announcer, hyping up the fans as we get ready to go racing. The 3-minute, 2-minute boards have been displayed. And we get ready for this race. It will be 18 laps in length, and of course there is also the overtime element to consider, much like the NASCAR Cup Series in the US. If there is a late safety car in the last 2 laps of the race, we will go to a 2-lap sprint to get to the end. So the race, unless there are extreme circumstances such as 2 or 3 attempts or a major incident with barrier damage, we always endeavour to try and get a green flag finish here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, which is always exciting. Some of the media personnel have been remarking, I'll tell you in a minute, because the points on screen, a good reminder here that the regular season points, 40 points for a win, 35 for second, and then it goes down by 1 for the rest of the order. Of course, double points at the end of the year at the season finale, so that's well worth remembering as well. And I'm just going to say, a few of our media personnel saying Italian anthem kind of reminds us of potentially Valentino Rossi. Seen a lot of the Rossi yellow. Even though there isn't a motorcycle in sight this weekend, the Rossi yellow is still in the grandstands here at the American Festival of Rome. Wouldn't it be interesting to see him in a EuroNASCAR one day? Of course, he's already been winning in cars in GT racing, and always a well-revered competitor here in Italy. That much is certain. One of their greatest sports people of all time. The start command will come in a moment from our Grand Marshal Stefano Mantovani from Avantgarde Group. I think he'll be giving us the command now.
al Grand Marshal Stefano Mantovani, fondatore di Avantgarde Group.
Drivers, start your engine!
A spirited command for what will be a spirited getaway in just a few moments. The EuroNASCAR Pro field fires up in earnest. The formation lap will begin in just a few seconds. We'll run you through the grid as soon as we are rolling as well. And we look forward to seeing how the all-Italian front row handles the run through the opening turns here at the Autodromo di Vallelunga. How will this race unfold? Will we have a battle in the final sector on the last lap? Certainly that final sector does lend itself to a dive bomb if you're close enough, and I'm sure we could see that at some point this weekend across our two EuroNASCAR grids. And the safety car is about to lead them away, and at that point we will read you through our 28 car grid. My apologies, it is 28 EuroNASCARs this weekend in EuroNASCAR Pro. So a nice strong grid of cars, once again highlighting the popularity of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, not just with the competitors or not just with the fans, but also the competitors. The fact that we so consistently have strong grids in this championship. Gianmarco Ercoli then leads the field away as we go on to the formation lap for this race. Gianmarco Ercoli is your leader and your pole sitter as this race gets underway. Vittorio Gorelli will line up alongside him on the front row, an all-Italian front row of the grid. Tobias Downhauer is on row 2 in the promotion 99 alongside RDV Competition's new EuroNASCAR Pro driver Paul Giffreau. Liam Hazeman's on row 3 in the Hendricks Motorsport car. He is joined on that row by Academy Motorsport's Vladimiros Tsiotsis, starting from 6th position. Ulysse Delceau will start from 7th place in the number 14 car alongside his Speedhouse team boss Lucas Lasser, currently 2nd in the championship. Giorgio Maggi, the junior points leader, in 9th place, will line up alongside Anthony Kumpen, who rounds out our top 10. The rest of the grid: Mark Goosens in the 56, Neo Lambert in the 40, Riccardo Romagnoli in the 65 lines up 13th alongside Pontonen in the 48. Martin Dubeck in the number 7 is 15th alongside Sebastian Blekemolen. Fabrizio Armetta in the 55 is next alongside Massimilio Lanza in the 88. Thomas Chrysonis in the 46 is joined by Advet Yoda in the number 1. That is on row 10 of the grid. Row 11, 21st and 22nd, Thomas Tuffel and Stefano Attianese. Row 12, Balestrieri and Fleury. Fleury in the new Uber Modern Racing number 75 car. Row 13, Loretti in the number 9 and Panagiotis in the number 4. Elena Leubnegger and Dario Casso, the 94 and the 8 on the 14th and final row of this grid. So Gianmarco Ercoli, with 2 wins at Brands Hatch, secured himself the lead in the championship at long last, after having a poor finish in race 2 at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo. After that collision with Liam Hazeman's, it was the best recovery possible for Ercoli to take 2 wins from 2 in the UK. He is now on home turf. He's back across the English Channel and he's in Italy. What can he do here just outside Rome at the Autodromo di Vallelunga? He has Vittorio Gorelli for company on the front row of the grid. Then beyond his countrymen, he has Tobias Downhauer just behind him on the 2nd row in that 99 car. The young German is hungry for a good result. Paul Giffreau in new territory here in EuroNASCAR Pro. He's been showing good form in EuroNASCAR 2. Can he capitalise? Liam Hasemans wants to lift himself back into the top 10 and into championship contention. He's on row 3 against the always impressive Vladimiros Tsiotsis. There are a lot of exciting drivers, a lot of drivers who could win this race. Gianmarco Ercoli has to be the favourite with the home crowd behind him, but can he hold the lead for 18 laps here at Vallelunga? We find out now as we go racing. It's Ercoli versus Gurelli on the run down to the first corner, and Gianmarco Ercoli leads the way. Tobias Dauenhauer moves up into second place there by the looks of it. It was side by side between Dauenhauer and Gurelli. Oh, but no, Gurelli has somehow just about held on to second place around the outside at Curva Grande. Very impressive from him. Side by side for third place. Was that Paul Giffreau going around the outside for P3? Yes, it was. Paul Giffreau moves up into P3. You've got gravel being kicked up, unsurprisingly, going through turns 5 and 6 for the first time. Liam Hasemans right behind Tobias Dauenhauer. He moves to try and go around the outside for fourth, maybe even third place, but he can't quite get it stopped. He can't quite find the adhesion around the outside, or can he? Because he really surged forward at the end of the corner and does indeed move up to fourth position. Giorgio Maggi going to the outside line at turn 8 as well. Liam Hasemans up to fourth place, then Tobias Dauenhauer was challenging for second at the first corner. He now finds himself down in fifth. Surprising lack of forward momentum then for Dauenhauer in the promotion car. Jimmy Ercoli, Gianmarco Ercoli, leads the way in the early stages of this race. Through the S's they go. The Italian driver will complete the first lap of the race with a good few car lengths worth of lead. Vittorio Gurelli was having to fight off Tobias Dauenhauer in the first few turns and ended up losing out on time to Gianmarco Ercoli, who got the better getaway. Paul Giffreau, meanwhile, in the number 3 car, finishes his first lap as a EuroNASCAR Pro driver in third, but starts his second lap with a dose of rally crossing. Throws a smoke screen up at Liam Hasemans. Hasemans continues on without any real issue, but Hasemans in the 50. We've got a nice face full of dust there from Paul Giffreau, and is certainly putting the young Frenchman under pressure. Unfortunately, Thomas Tuffel has come to a stop, so he's withdrawn to the pits after the first lap of this race. Everyone else, I believe, still running. A few cars are a little further back than expected. Any moving and shaking further back? The answer is yes. The Speedhouse team is ganging up on Vladimiros Tsiotsis. Giorgio Maggi there going to the inside of the 64 as well. So Leclerc and Maggi side by side momentarily. Maggi trying to drive around the outside of the Frenchman, but surely doesn't get the traction. No, not quite. Tsiotsis then now in a sandwich between Delso and Leclerc. Delso up in 6th position. Anthony Kumpen there in 10th place, just behind Giorgio Maggi. Haven't seen too many huge moves up the order in the early stages. We've had a couple fall through the pack. Of course, Tobias Dauenhauer being chief among them. Tsiotsis also losing a position or two. Tsiotsis with a nice run there through Curva Grande, better momentum than Ulysse Delso, but not going to be close enough for a move into turn 4 and 5. Despite his best efforts. Giffreau under pressure from Vittorio Gurelli. Rather, I should say the reverse of that. Gurelli is falling into the clutches of Paul Giffreau. It looked as though Hasemans was really making life hard for the number 3 driver, but now it seems to be switching to the 72 under pressure from Dufro. We saw Tefel there with his damage. So significant front bodywork damage on Tefel's car as it heads back out onto the circuit. So somewhere further back in the pack, Thomas Tefel had a drama for sure, but looks like he's heading back out onto the track. Indeed, he was exiting the pits, so he'll continue on, but of course he will be a lap down as well. The top 5 have certainly broken away from the rest of the pack. Ulysse Del So in 6th place leads effectively the rest of the field in one long train. Top 5 have already broken away in the early stages of this race. Anthony Kumpen still trying to find a way around Giorgio Maggi. Mark Goossens has worked his way back up into 11th. Goossens was, I think, down in 13th at the end of the first lap. He's worked his way back to the rear of Anthony Kumpen. Oh dear, and things go from bad to worse for Thomas Tefel. Getting a replay of some damaged cars here. One of them being the 88 of Massimilio Lanza. A couple of cars have had damage. Thomas Tefel is also running around with his bonnet up over the roof, and oh dear, the 27 car has had an incident as well. The double V racing car of Atiennes has found the wall coming out of Roma. I dare say that with all of that bodywork down on the circuit and the 27 car facing the wrong way, we may end up going to safety car conditions. We'll have to see. We haven't had confirmation of that just yet. But certainly that 27 car is looking rather stranded, as we can see. I'm getting a replay now. Looked like Atiennes did that all on his own, unfortunately. Just ran it wide coming out of Roma. There are local yellows there, but are we now under safety car? Yes, it appears we are. Or is it just a full course yellow? My timing screen doesn't provide me with that information. Certainly the field now being controlled. I think that this might be full course yellow as opposed to full safety car at the moment. And it is indeed an FCY out on circuit, so everyone driving around at a controlled pace for now. Really gives us an opportunity to see just how far the top 5 were ahead of the rest of the field. Lap 5 of 18. And we have our first pause in the race. For some drivers, this might be a little bit suboptimal, because the temperatures will still be increasing, albeit now they can kind of focus on the physical challenge at play more so, because when you're racing, you're focused on the racing, but now that they're tootling around in full course yellow conditions, I just wonder if the heat might start to get some of them a bit more. It is searingly warm this weekend at Vallelunga. As we see there, the safety car is deployed. The number 8 car is in the pits as well. That is Dario Casso, isn't it? Yes, Dario Casso in the Victor Motorsport number 8. Unfortunately in the pit road. The safety car will meet the drivers out there on circuit. You see the Lamborghini Urus has been deployed. Atiennes at that moment coming out of Roma has unfortunately given us the first safety car of the weekend here. course, once we do go back to racing conditions after a safety car, it is a 2x2 restart. So this is really suboptimal for Gianmarco Ercole. He suddenly finds himself in a position where he no longer has the lead he was building. Instead, he's going to have Vittorio Girelli just to his left. Field passes the start-finish line once again then, and everyone will merge into a long queue behind the Lamborghini. Certainly, I think some parties will be happy with this. I think Vladimir Siotzis, who fell behind Ulysse Delceau and dropped off the top 5 as a result, he might be quite happy with the fact that everyone is bunching back together. Obviously for Ercole, it's never good to have this situation. I think everyone else is probably just about neutral on the matter. Although if you are a team boss come driver, such as Lucas Lasserre, Anthony Kumpen, I think you never like a restart, because as the old adage claims, safety cars breed safety cars. We saw Massimiliano Lanza in the pit lane. He was one of the cars that was carrying damage after an early incident. Hope that he can rejoin the race eventually. Big shame for Lanza, another home driver, of course, in the 88 car. Cal Racing outfit running that 88 as well as the 54. That leads the way at the moment. Cal Racing, one of the strongest outfits in EuroNASCAR. And the team had a lot to celebrate last time out at Brands Hatch. And at their home race, they'll be looking to celebrate even more this time around. Currently, Ercole is in a strong position. He leads the way here at the Autodromo di Vallelunga. It's Girelli in second for Team Blaker-Molen, Paul Giffro's RDV competition car. Remember, EuroNASCAR Pro debut for Giffro, and he sits there in third position. Impressive right now. Liam Hazeman's for Hendricks Motorsport in fourth, ahead of Tobias Downhauer. Just the second meeting for Downhauer's promotion team, the German outfit that debuted at Brands Hatch. They will no doubt be looking forward to bringing the promotion team to Oschersleben later in the year in September, when EuroNASCAR makes its return to Germany for the first time in quite a few years. It'd be great to see the German EuroNASCAR fans again. Ercole and Girelli then retaining that all-Italian top 2 that we started with. We have seen a few drivers from further back in the pack make up some places. We got a flash of Martin Dubeck a moment ago in the number 7 Hendricks Motorsport car. He's all the way up in 12th now, having started, I think, 15th. But still, for Dubeck, who has had a strong run of form this year in EuroNASCAR Pro, arguably a stronger run than he has had in EuroNASCAR 2. Not the performance he would like. He's 5th in the standings right now, tied with Vittorio Girelli. So for Dubeck to remain in that top half dozen, he really needs to make up some more positions for sure. Giorgio Maggi, another driver who could do with a strong weekend after mixed fortunes at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo. He had issues with the car at the Valencia circuit, and also had a drama, of course, at Brands Hatch on the final lap as well in the first race, which cost him a lot, as the double V27 car of Atinez is trolleyed away. Maggi came into this race as the junior points leader by just 1 point over Ulysse Delceau. But Giorgio has made the point to Andre Vigold on a few occasions. I'm not here for the junior trophy. I'm here for the championship, the overall EuroNASCAR Pro title. And Giorgio, for all of his pace, is yet to finish in the top 5 this season. 3 top 10s, but no top 5s. And Giorgio currently sitting in 9th place. He'll have some work to do to get into the top 5, but I think he wants to start seeing himself there at the sharp end as soon as possible. Of course, the other factor to consider as well is the grid for the Sunday race, which is determined by fastest laps from this race. So even if you've had a bit of a rough run so far, if you can pick yourself up and set a fast lap, you can still be high on the grid for Sunday. We've seen that a few times before, where someone's had a moment but kept pushing with the knowledge that at the very least they could boost their qualifying hopes for the Sunday. Drivers putting heat through these Hoosier tyres as we get a replay of the race start. Now, obviously, Gianmarco Ercoli on the inside there. He got a really good getaway at the start of this race. It was side by side between Dauenhauer and Garelli. And I'm still very surprised that that didn't work out in Dauenhauer's favour. I think he took a more prominent lift out of the throttle as he went side by side with Garelli. Vittorio Garelli more committed. And Dauenhauer, of course, ultimately losing out and falling to 5th position by the end of the first lap after a move from Liam Hasemans, which I believe came here at T7. Hasemans was late on the brakes to the outside on the 7th corner of the lap. The impressive Dutchman moving up to 4th place at the expense of Tobias Dauenhauer, who at one time was going to be teammate to Liam Hasemans in last year's 2022 season in the number 50 car. He was originally the number 50 EuroNASCAR Pro driver, but that ended after Valencia last year. We appear to be gridding back up in 2x2 formation. Yes, because we are about to go racing once again. So the front row remains unchanged. However, Paul Giffreau now sits behind our race leader. Liam Hasemans now on the 2nd row alongside him. What can Vittorio Garelli do from the outside of the front row? Can he get the jump on Jimmy Ercoli once the lights go out? We will begin racing again, this time by the rolling start for the 2nd time in this race signals the return to green flag action. We are racing, and once again Jimmy Ercoli with a brilliant getaway. He undisputedly leads going into Curva Grande. It's getting a bit too close for comfort there, though, between Giffreau and Hasemans. Hasemans holds on to 3rd position. Paul Giffreau there took the curb and I think was briefly airborne going through Curva Grande. Everyone else gets through the first few corners without too much drama. And so just on the halfway point in this race, and we are back to action with Jimmy Ercole in the lead. Look at Tobias Downhauer though. He's under pressure from Ulysse Del So, who dives to the inside. In fact, no, my apologies. That's the 64 of Lucas Lasser. Ulysse Del So has lost out big time. He's potentially fallen all the way out of the top 10, but Lucas Lasser, the driver who led the championship coming out of Valencia, making his way up the pack. The 14 then certainly falling back. Not a good start from Ulysse Del So. I think he might be out of the top 10 now. Certainly he's fallen behind Mark Goossens. Goossens was 11th before the return to action. Anthony Kumpen has also lost a great deal of positions as well. There's a lot of moving and shaking further down the order for sure, but no change at the head of the pack. It is still Gianmarco Ercole from Vittorio Garelli. We'll see the rest of the order on the timing screen once they cross the line. On to the 10th lap of the race then. It is Ercole whom has the race lead from Garelli in second. Then in third place it is Liam Hazeman's Paul Giffreau in fourth place. Lucas Lasser up into fifth, but Tobias Downhauer pressuring him as they run towards turn 7 once again. Vladimiros Siortis also watching in the back of shot as Tobias Downhauer tries to go around the outside of Lucas Lasser. Downhauer trying to find the grip. We've seen Hazemans do this run around the outside, but a collision between the two. Downhauer gets unsettled by a collision between himself and Lucas Lasser, and he drops down to 7th. He then tags Vladimiros Siortis, and a bit of a push to pass there from Tobias Downhauer. And Vladimiros Siortis was really the innocent party in that. He wasn't the one that tagged Downhauer. That was Lucas Lasser. And now it's all getting a bit too rough and ready because Mark Goossens has gotten past Vladimiros Siortis, and Siortis has the elbows out. Ulysse Del So is also involved in this. Brilliant stuff from everybody to keep it on the island ultimately, but there was a little bit of contact between a few parties there that I'm sure isn't going to go down particularly well with some. Number 5 car in the slipstream then, Ulysse Del So under pressure from Vladimiros Siortis, who has lost out in a big way. He's down to 9th place. He's going to feel hard done by because he didn't really do anything wrong at any phase of that lap. He now has a look to the inside line but doesn't make the move on the number 14. Number 14 and number 5 we continue to watch then as Ulysse Del So in 8th place is trying to hold off the Cypriot Vladimiros Siortis for Academy Motorsport, Alex Caffey Motorsport. Of course, Siortis yet to win in EuroNASCAR Pro. He's taken a clean sweep of the race victories in EuroNASCAR 2 so far this season and is doubling up his campaign. I think eyes and priority firmly focused on the EuroNASCAR 2 campaign at this stage. However, we will be pushing for good results and better results as the season goes on here in EuroNASCAR Pro as well. For now, this race has been something of a disaster. Started in P6 and has fallen as far back as 9th now. Gianmarco Ercole who leads the way as they go on to lap 12 of this race. Vittorio Garelli and Liam Hazemans first, second, third. Gorelli and Hazeman's behind this 54 car. Paul Giffreau is just about a second off this pack. He's kind of just about on the fringes of being in the lead pack at the moment. Lucas Lasserre seems to have the race pace underneath him. The car wasn't stunning in qualifying, but it seems like he might have a good race car because he's not too far away from Giffreau either. Can he close in on the younger Frenchman will be the big question. The younger Frenchman who, of course, used to be one of his customers as a Speedhouse driver. Siortzis still stewing behind Ulysse Delceau. Mark Goossens, of course, up to 7th place. He did well out of that restart. Martin Dubeck is there in 11th place, just behind the returning Thomas Pontonen. In the 48 car, the red and black machine, he's running 10th overall. Two-thirds distance in this race then. And there are still a lot of questions to be answered in this race. Can Gianmarco Ercole hold on, being chief among them? But also what's going to happen here on the fringes of the top 10, because you just get the feeling it's a bit of a powder keg at the moment. Lucas Lasserre ran wide out of Rome at the final corner. We saw him kicking up dust there. So I rather thought he was closing in on Giffreau for 4th, but I now think that that is no longer the case. Would have lost a good second or so there, kicking up the dust, as Vittorio Gorelli closes in once more on Gianmarco Ercole. Ercole managed to disappear up the road on the initial start to this race. However, following the safety car restart, things have not been plain sailing in the slightest. Gianmarco Ercole is facing a lot of pressure. Five-second time penalty for the car number 99. That is Tobias Downhauer for causing an avoidable collision on car number 5. That is for his contact with Vladimiros Siortzis, and I think that would be a hard one to argue against, really. Downhauer went too hot into turn 8, and Siortzis really the innocent bystander. Upshot is that Downhauer has a 5-second penalty and may fall through the order at the end of this race. Lap 14 begins with Gianmarco Ercole still there in the lead. Vittorio Gorelli, though, unlike the first portion of this race, since the restart, has been able to shadow Ercole every inch of the way. Gorelli, the slightly more experienced of the two drivers, will be looking to use every inch of track knowledge. He said this morning in the qualifying broadcast that this is the circuit where he got his racing license. He didn't quite get his license to dive bomb, though. Thought better against making the move up the inside. However, he's right there on the back of Gianmarco Ercole now, and surely this could be an opportunity. He dives to the inside going into turn 8. He's on the grass, he's on the sausage curb, and somehow he avoids Gianmarco Ercole. But that was a heart-in-mouth moment for Vittorio Gorelli. He had a really quite a half-hearted look to the inside there, realised it wasn't going to pay off for him. And Jimmy Ercole did a very good job of staying out of his way, really, once he was on the grass. Very preserving driving, let's say, from Gianmarco Ercole. We get a replay of the incident, and he may have just tapped Ercole slightly. Once he was on the grass there, he was a passenger, and he did very well to avoid Ercole. Ercole did very well to avoid him. Hazeman's then is right on the back of Vittorio Gorelli now. We also note that Giorgio Maggi is falling through the order. He's dropped as far back as 17th now. So Giorgio Maggi in the 18 car, who was running in the top 10, unfortunately, his quest for a first top 5 of the season, I think, is going to extend into Sunday. Oh, and Garelli with a snap there at turn 4 under braking. I think he might be having a bit of a problem with the brakes. Maybe he's got a bit of a long pedal, because we've seen him outbrake himself and have issues under braking a couple of times in quick succession, but this time it's cost him. Garelli down to 4th place. Coley, your race leader, and Liam Hasemans in 2nd place. Well, I don't need to remind you what happened at Valencia last time Coley and Hasemans were fighting for 1st and 2nd. Vittorio Garelli out wide there, manages to recover, but that is suboptimal for Vittorio Garelli. A podium would have been wonderful for his chances. He's not going to get one this time. Gianmarco Ercoli leads the way by just over a second from Liam Hasemans. And will be looking for an opportunity here to get another victory on the board. No better way to begin his recovery of his championship aspirations for Liam Hasemans than getting a victory here today. Came into this weekend just 11th in the standings despite a race win at Valencia. If he can just close in on Ercoli, then maybe he has a shot at rectifying his position in the championship. However, Gianmarco Ercoli, the local boy, knows this circuit better than almost anyone else in the paddock. Fortunately for Gianmarco Ercoli, he only knows bad luck at the moment. He's fallen outside of the top 20. Giorgio Maggi has fallen out of the top 20, and doesn't look like things are getting any better for him. Meanwhile, Ulysse Delso trying to find a way around Tobias Downhauer. This is for 6th place, but of course Downhauer has that penalty. Vladimiros Siortsis, the driver who got pushed out by Tobias Downhauer. I would think that pulled punches would be few and far between Siortsis and Downhauer after that collision earlier on. Giorgio Maggi has fallen back as far as 22nd to finish that point. Knew he had jumped outside of the top 20. He's down to 22nd. I have to believe he has a problem again. His last lap was a 2:04, whereas everyone else is in the low-mid 140s. So, unfortunately for Giorgio Maggi, everything seems to have gone askew once again. Lap 16 of 18 begins then. Our drivers don't have much time to make any moves at this stage. I think Hasemans at this point is no longer focusing on trying to get into the lead. He's focusing on trying to hold on to 2nd, because Paul Giffreau has closed in. Vittorio Garelli has followed as well. Ulysse Delso, meanwhile, still trying to find a way around Tobias Downhauer. One would argue that Delso is unlikely to make any further inroads if he can get past Downhauer. And with Downhauer's 5-second penalty, Delso will almost certainly inherit 6th anyway. However, Vladimiros Siortsis isn't too far behind, and he would no worries have a go at the young Frenchman, as side by side Paul Giffreau trying to get around the outside of Liam Hasemans, but Hasemans has none of it. No space given to Giffreau. And a tag from Giffreau to Hasemans in retaliation. 2nd place to Paul Giffreau then. And little bit of tit for tat between the two of them, and all of that has been going on as Lucas Lasserre has moved up into 4th place. He's gotten past Vittorio Girelli for P4. Girelli now on the offensive up against Liam Hazeman. Giuffreau went around the outside at turn 10. Didn't get any room given to him by Liam Hazeman, so he responded with a tag there to Hazeman at turn 11. Giuffreau moves up into 2nd. And Hazeman is now fighting to hold on to that 3rd position. This will be the penultimate lap of the race then, and Liam Hazeman looks like he is maybe fighting against some high tyre pressures as well on the rear, because his car looks notably loose at the moment. The young Dutchman is certainly going to be pushing as hard as humanly possible. Not just to hold off Lucas Lasserre, but I'm sure he also would like a measure of revenge now against Paul Giuffreau. Screen says final lap, even though graphic says lap 17. So we might be braced for a checkered flag this time by then. Coley leads the way. He goes through turn 11, the hairpin. Liam Hazeman's nowhere near close enough to Giuffreau, but can Lucas Lasserre get around him? Lasserre pressuring Liam Hazeman. Meanwhile, Gianmarco Ercoli all on his own. Gianmarco Ercoli rounds turn 14. And he will be greeted by a checkered flag. Gianmarco Ercoli takes his 3rd victory in 3 races here in front of his home fans in Rome. Paul Giuffreau takes 2nd ahead of Liam Hazeman. Lucas Lasserre takes 4th place. Vittorio Girelli in 5th and Tobias Dauenhauer in 6th. However, Dauenhauer with a 5-second penalty will drop down the order. Massive result though for Jimmy Ercoli and Cal Racing. They secure another victory after sweeping the American Speed Fest at Brands Hatch. They move on to the American Festival of Rome at Vallelunga. And it's another win and an extension of his points lead in the championship for Gianmarco Ercoli. The pendulum firmly swinging in favour of he and the Cal Racing outfit right now. It looks like we might have had a last lap drama there as well. Riccardo Romagnoli stranded on the apex of turn 7, and I think another car there, potentially Balistreri in the 38, also stranded at turn 7. There was a last lap drama elsewhere. Giorgio Maggi failed to finish, I don't think, because we saw him come into the pit entry on the final lap. Should be classified as a finisher nonetheless, but unfortunate for Giorgio that his race ended in pretty much the worst way possible. But no such worries for Gianmarco Ercoli. The Italian racer has done it again in front of his home fans. And there are a lot of them here. He's going to be cheered in a big way when he's in victory lane. And with some of the physicality up and down the order, a few of these positions are questionable. Will there be any investigation of the Giuffreau-Hazeman's contact? We'll have to see, but Gianmarco Ercoli kept his nose clean and never lost his lead. So there can be no doubt that Jimmy Ercoli is our race winner. Just looking at the bulletin board from the stewards, and they are investigating Giuffreau and Hazeman, so we'll have to see how that pans out. It was certainly a bit of tit for tat, because Hazeman's had rather lent on Dufresne the corner prior, but would people believe that Dufresne's retaliation was justified? That's the question. And here we see what happened between Romagnoli and Balistreri, and that looked a bit clumsy. Balistreri had the pace advantage over Romagnoli, and oh goodness me, Romagnoli almost took flight there as his wheel came off the suspension. It lifted the car. They did very well not to collect each other at the end. Very synchronized at the end, actually, but that was certainly a rather weird incident. I think Romagnoli was going to go defensive and Balistreri was committed to the inside line. The two parties met in the middle, and unfortunately there are two damaged cars as a result. Their teams will be working hard to repair those machines now ahead of the next race, as back at Victory Lane, the familiar site of the 54, and Jimmy Ercole, who will soon, I'm sure, get himself onto the roof of that 54 car and begin celebrations. Here he comes out of the car now, and he is clearly elated. Gianmarco Ercole didn't quite commit to getting on the roof, but he styled it out nicely. He is our race winner. Happy times indeed for the number 54 crew. Cal Racing celebrating yet another result in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. The team backed by Italian box. Well, certainly it is a very Italian pit box, and Gianmarco Ercole, the local boy from Rome, has just become the local hero. You saw the signatures and the fan interactions that he was giving before this race. I'm sure come tomorrow it's going to be even more intense. The fan support, the swell of support from the fans here for Jimmy Ercole, your championship leader. His points advantage will extend. He had a very narrow margin of just 4 points coming into this weekend. That will have grown fairly significantly. I think another 9 points of lead over Lucas Lasserre will have been established. That's huge for him. We'll go down now, or go down in just a second to Andre and Jimmy, as Andre tries to herd his driver in the right direction. The camera's a little bit askew, but hopefully we can go down to Andre in just a second as we get ready to hear from our race winner in Victory Lane. I think it's going to be quite the festival atmosphere down there in Victory Lane as Gianmarco Ercole celebrates not just a win here at the American Festival of Rome on his home turf, but also his third consecutive win in the 2023 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series EuroNASCAR Pro Championship. His campaign to become a champion, taking another significant step forward here on his home turf. I believe we'll hear from him in just a second. As we can get ourselves down to there, to Victory Lane once again. But what a result that was for Ercole, and we can now go down to him with Andre Viegold. So let's go, let's hear from our winner.
Gianmarco Ercole, home win. Amazing race, right?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Fantastic race, very hard. Isn't simple have the lead for all the race with this temperature. I entering the car in perfect mode and tomorrow start P3. But I'm happy for the fun because in the home track is incredible. Congratulations to the team, to my sponsor, to the Autodromo Vallelunga for this event. I'm very happy. It's a big emotion for me.
You see that on the other side. Yeah.
Looks like we may have lost signal down there in the pit lane for a moment, but Jimmy Ercole currently performing the ceremonial task of putting the winner's sticker on his car. He came in to this weekend with 2 stickers from brands. His first 2 wins of the season. He now makes it 3 victories. The only driver so far this season to have secured multiple victories. 1 win apiece for Leclerc and Hasemans, of course. Leclerc continues his strong run of form with the top 5 finish in this race as well, so a nod and a congratulations to Lucas. But Gianmarco Ercoli is going to be talk of the town in both the figurative and literal sense. Anyone in the nearby towns who was on the fence about coming to the American Festival of Rome on Sunday, now hearing that the hometown boy is a race winner, I have to assume that they're going to flock in their droves to support their own on Sunday. Of course, Paul Giffreau will also have to celebrate him as well, because he has made his EuroNASCAR Pro debut with a podium. And that's about as strong of an introduction as one can get. Taking 3rd place behind Liam Hasemans. That is not the order they came across the line, though, so I think Giffreau may have been penalised. 1 position penalty for Paul Giffreau for causing an avoidable collision on Liam Hasemans. I've just seen that bulletin in the Steward's channel, so that is confirmed. So the order has changed from what we saw across the line. Paul Giffreau has been demoted to 3rd place after that contact with Liam Hasemans, but I'm sure Giffreau will still be happy with his result. 3rd place, still a very good finish indeed on his debut in the EuroNASCAR Pro category, and he'll take that momentum and run with it now in EuroNASCAR 2 as well. Liam Hasemans, meanwhile, with a 2nd place, he reinvigorates and recharges his championship aspirations with the 2nd place finish there, not just in Junior Trophy, of course, but also in the overall championship, which I'm sure he has half an eye on himself as well. With every race win and every notch of extra confidence that Gianmarco Ercoli gets, the task of beating him becomes all the more of a daunting task for everybody involved. Last year, he did not have much in the way of good luck. It seemed as though no matter how much pace he had, fortune would invariably turn against him. This year, he is on a hot streak. He is our current championship leader. We've got something like 8 or 9 points over Lucas Leclerc. As we see some replays, some dramas, some damaged cars in the early going. And then our safety car deployed after just 4 laps because of this incident for the number 27 double V car, Attianesi, with a spin out of Roma. That car damaged, not going any further. Safety car would soon be deployed. The 64 and 99 cars getting into it a little bit. Downhauer pushed wide by Lucas Leclerc. And Downhauer then tried to dive to the inside of Vladimiros Tsiotsis, tagged him, and that allowed Tsiotsis to be overtaken by a couple of different drivers, including Mark Goossens, who was just behind. Not the most compelling of races, or not the most successful of races, unfortunately, for Tsiotsis. Meanwhile, Vittorio Garelli started to fall through the order and make mistakes. That was the moment that cost Giffreau 2nd. He moved up into 2nd but he did so by tagging Liam Hasemans. And Paul Giuffreau, as a result of that, dropping to 3rd place. And that was the scary moment where Riccardo Romagnoli almost took flight at the very end of the race. Collision for the 65 car almost sent him flying. But nothing could stop Gianmarco Ercoli, who takes his 3rd win in as many races in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series category. It's been a great run of form, and he'll be looking to continue on into Sunday. We now go down to Andre Viegold, who looks to have Liam Hasemans.
Yes, I'm here with Liam Hasemans. It was a physical race, right?
Yeah, no, I think we never had it so hot. Like, this was really because of the humidity here at the track. I think it's like we watched, it was like 70% humidity or something. So no, this was really the most difficult race I ever had in my life. Like, we had this little pool, like little swimming pool at the box. I just went straight in with Martin, everybody jumped in. I think all the drivers are going to tell you this was really a crazy race. But yeah, no, at the end actually I finished P2. Because Giuffreau, because of the little hit, he was 1 place back, so P2 at the end. But yeah, it was actually pretty well. Just at one point we had a bit brakes issue. Like, my pedal was just going totally to the middle. And because, I don't know, there was so many crashes and body parts flying on by, so I went over, and I think we had 1 tire pressure or 1 back tire that was a bit going out. So, but yeah, at the end P2, very happy. So, and I think P3 or P4 tomorrow to start, so very happy.
All right, thank you so much. We keep going with the interviews. Alina, you have a second for me. Liam already told me the drivers will say this was the most physical race in their career. Is it right?
Yes, that's right. It was so hard. It's so hot inside the car, so it's really hard to stay focused. And yeah, but yeah, the craziest race ever, I think. But I'm really happy because I did podium in the Challenger Trophy. So podium in Pro is really good. I'm really happy, and I will say thanks to my team, to my sponsors, to my family, my friends. Yeah, thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we try to grab another driver. Let me see. Ulysse Tesson, you have a second? I have to pick them here at the moment. Oh, the champagne is already open, okay. Ulysse, how was the race for you?
It was a very hard race because in the second start I was overtaken by Luca Lasser and another driver, but I was in battle with Marc Gossens, and I think he have a problem, and I was in battle with Tobias, but it's very, very aggressive, but it's a good battle, and to finish the race in the junior trophy, it's a good result for me and the team, and I'm happy, and I hope to make a good and better result tomorrow.
All right, merci beaucoup, thank you so much. Let's keep going. Paul, you have a second for us.
Yeah.
All right, this must have been a brilliant EuroNASCAR Pro debut for you, right?
Yeah, I'm penalized, so I'm 3, I think, but with Liam, there is no problem. He told me good job. Yeah, to be a little bit, I think I didn't deserve it, but it's my POV. It's not the POV of the Steward. Even Liam says that it's racing, but for my first race, I think I start P1 tomorrow, so I don't know what to say. It's amazing.
All right, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. And now we go back to Adam.
That's all right, Andre. Grab him while you can. Paul Giuffreau, then he sounds like he'll be starting from pole. That would be a huge boon for his second race in EuroNASCAR. Giuffreau with a brilliant performance. Even with that penalty, with the collision between he and Hasemans, he can come out of that race with his head held high. And I'm sure Frederic Gabillon will be watching on with mixed feelings, given he has decided to withdraw from the rest of the season, but I'm sure he'll be taking pride in Paul Giuffreau's performance as he continues to help the young Frenchman on his way for RDV competition. Paul Giuffreau really proving, though, to be a driver on the cusp of a real wave. I don't think anyone expected him to be quite as far up the order as he was from the beginning in EuroNASCAR 2, and a podium first time out in EuroNASCAR Pro is a sign that he's really coming into his own with the help of the RDV competition team. We will have podium ceremonies underway shortly. The overall podium, of course, will be first up. The junior and challenger trophy classes will follow thereafter. The number 54 car takes pride and place in victory lane after another sensational drive from Jimmy Ercole. Of course, that car will be in the hands of Alberto Nasca in the EuroNASCAR 2 race a little later on. I'm sure the Italian fans will be behind Alberto in much the same way as they were behind Gianmarco. Alberto, of course, a hugely successful YouTuber and carries quite the audience with him as a result. Jimmy Ercole, meanwhile, has been earning favour with the EuroNASCAR fans for many years as he's ascended through the ranks. And soon he will ascend to the top step of the podium here at the Autodromo Vallelunga. Enjoying the music, enjoying the festivities, and a chance to be on television, of course, as we get ready for the podium. It sounds like our podium is about to get underway.
Siamo dunque pronti con la cerimonia di premiazione. We are ready with a prize ceremony for all the drivers on the podium.
Paul Dufro will be the first one onto the overall podium.
Gara 1 EuroNASCAR Pro. Iniziamo dunque dal terzo classificato Paul Dufro.
See him up there. Here comes Paul Dufro. Third step of the podium for him. Just to make sure that is the third step. Officially, the third step is on the left, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Liam Hazemans throws the hat out to the fans. He's always a ball of energy, Liam Hazemans, and fairly happy with his second place. Meanwhile, Gianmarco Ercole with the Italian flag as his cape. Will anyone tug Superman's cape tomorrow? We'll have to see. For now, Gianmarco Ercole is on the top step of the podium. And we will now hear the Italian national anthem.
Italia,
very, very popular winner is Gianmarco Ercole. And he's clearly truly ecstatic about the result that he's had today. Bottle of Panu will be presented by Pierre Bellet on behalf of the Guarin family. They've been partners of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, presenting the Panu beverage to our top three. Presentations being made for the trophies as well as the bottles, of course. More trophies on the mantle for Hazemans and Ercole, both of whom are already immensely successful. Of course, for Paul Giffreau, this whole podium lark is still a relatively new experience. There is the big trophy. And it goes to Gianmarco Ercole, who lifts it to the sky, much to the delight of the Vallelunga public. So the top three pose for the pictures. Of course, next up we have the Junior Trophy podium. Junior Trophy taken by Liam Hazemans. Hazemans and Giuffreau weren't just fighting for second overall, but also the Junior Trophy lead. The champagne, though, being sprayed and squarely aimed, I think, a lot of that at our race winner, Gianmarco Ercole. Really great to see these guys. All three fairly young, even though, of course, Ercole is an over 25, no longer in Junior Trophy, but really do get the impression there's a new wave of talent claiming the mantle as the top of EuroNASCAR these days. Good catch, young man. I think Gianmarco throwing the hat there to a young supporter. As the smart cars pass the start-finish line, we move on to the Junior Trophy podium. Of course, Tobias Downhauer, in spite of his... okay, so Junior Trophy podium has changed. It's Ulysse Delceau taking the third spot. Of course, that'll be because of Tobias Downhauer's 5-second penalty. Paul Giffreau taking the second spot, and Liam Hazemans heads out to the top with a spring in his step and his dancing shoes on. Always good to see Liam on the podium, quite the showman. The reason I call him Hollywood Hazemans, because he always does everything in very spectacular fashion in the car, and he's always got energy outside of the car as well. Paul Giffreau receives the second place trophy. It will then be Liam Hazemans with the winning spoils. Also, of course, getting bottles of Pano. In the case of Giuffreau and Hazemans, 2 apiece. Not a bad way to spend the evening if they fancy a drink with the team. Great result then for Liam Hazemans as they all celebrate. Big congratulations to Liam, who continues to build his championship back up I believe he may well have taken the junior trophy points lead back from Giorgio Maggi with Giorgio's issues in that race. I think Hazeman's will now be junior trophy leader. Next up is Challenger Trophy. Of course, we will see Alina Leubnegger up there. And as she said in her interview, she is delighted to be on a EuroNASCAR Pro podium. She did really well in that race. I think this result will mean a lot to her. Simone Loretti comes out onto the second step of the podium. Good to see the Vict Motorsport crew getting a podium. And Fabrizio Armetta will continue his very strong run of form in the Challenger Trophy with yet another win. Should also remain within the top 10 in the championship overall as well. Fabrizio Armetta having a good season. Alina managed to do in that race what quite a few didn't achieve, and that's keeping the car straight and narrow and getting avoiding any issues. There are a lot of dramas further back in the pack in that race. Alina, who of course started on the back row, she worked her way up through the pack anyway and was then further aided by all of the dramas that took place in the race. Simone Loretti taking the second step, and here comes Fabrizio Armetta's trophy. Yet another for his expanding collection. He looks quite jolly. I'm sure he'll have a good evening. Another home driver, as it were, home nation driver. Fabrizio Armetta taking great delight in his result. Pose for the pictures then. That's our final podium of the first EuroNASCAR Pro race of the weekend. Round 5 of the season has continued. Gianmarco Ercoli's increasing dominance over the season. Can anyone best him on Sunday? We'll have to wait and see, but we don't have to wait another day for more EuroNASCAR Pro action, because EuroNASCAR 2 will take to the circuit in a little over an hour's time. 16:40 Central European for the EuroNASCAR 2's first race of the weekend. 15 laps of action from them to come before we do it all again on Sunday as well. Make sure you join us for the rest of the racing action this weekend at the Autodromo Vallelunga as the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series hosts the NASCAR GP of Italy.